Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are here for the August 2016 PracticeMaster Virtual User Group meeting. Today we are talking about the search bar in lists. It's one of those neat features that FTI snuck in maybe 1 or 2 releases ago. I think 2 releases ago, and a lot of people didn't even notice it. And so there's been this beautiful, elegant way to search for things more succinctly in the client list or in anything that's got a list. And most people don't know about it. So we're going to talk about that. Mary Jo's going to take that topic. And I'm going to talk about my favorite thing to talk about, marketing, using the contact file in PracticeMaster for marketing. It's a given. It's kind of a natural fit, but a lot of people don't think about it. They still use those spreadsheets that they have to call and pull together every year. We're going to give you an inkling of an idea of how to fix that. So, without any further ado, I'm going to press a couple of magic buttons here, and I am going to get out of here and get into PracticeMaster so that Mary Jo can talk about that neat new search bar.
All right, so we're just going to go over to the client here on the list. And most of you know that you can search on any of the columns that you have already defined in your column layout just by clicking on that column. And if I was in client ID, I can start typing the number. If I was on name, I could do the name, contact name. Name search is the big one that everybody usually has. You can type Smith and go right to all the Smiths and so on. This is just kind of the basic inline column searching. But what if you wanted to search on the work description and there was something in the middle of that work description, like maybe it said Smith versus Jones, claim number 12345, and you wanted to search on the claim number. Well, if I went to that work description field, and I think we've taken off our column layout. Let me go down here and get some client information because there will probably be a work description right here that we could search on. So in my case, I don't have a claim number, but I have Larson versus Belcour down here on this line. Now, what if I wanted to search for Belcour? Well, if I were in this particular searching mode on this column searching, and I started typing Belcour, I would not find it because it doesn't start with Belcour. I would have to start with Larson versus Belcour. So if I want to actually search for Belcour, I could do so using this little search lists box up here on the top. Now this search list box at the top will allow me to search in any of the fields that I have a current column layout on. So in this instance, I've only got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns that I have defined in this particular layout. So I could search on client name, work description, phone, mobile phone, or email address. And how I can know that is if I do the drop down, those are my available fields here. If I click on the fields button, I can add a few others. Maybe this one has more that I'm not scrolling over to see. But these are all of the fields that I have available in this particular column layout. And these are the 4 I've selected to just show up here. But I could select any one of those and add it to the list if I wanted to. If I switch to a different column layout, I would see a different list of fields that I could do based on what that column layout had in it. So I want to just go in. I can either type it right into one of these specific fields. If I wanted to search on work description, I could add that to the list, and I could start typing in Belcour here, and it would go ahead and find that for me. And there it is. It's already popped up with just the bell in there. I found that one that has Belcour in it. I could also have done it up here in the description box on its own. So let me get out of this. Go back up here. If I started typing in Belcour, it would look at all of the fields that are available on this particular layout and find it that way too. But if I know that's the only field that it's in, I could do that and just search all the fields, or I could put it right directly into whichever box I want to find it in. So you can limit it or do all fields that are on the existing layout. I can add fields to the layout depending on what column layout I have, and I'm going to switch it because let's say that I'm in this column layout, but I have to search on something that is never normally in there. I could always go back to my default that has all of the columns in there and add that particular field if I wanted to. So now that I've got the default layout that has everything in there, you can take like this huge, big, long list of all the things I could choose. So let's say it was miscellaneous 1, 2, or 3 that I wanted to search on. I could do that. I could come in and pick miscellaneous 1 and add it and start searching for a certain claim number or a certain piece of information that might be in that miscellaneous 1 field. I could then change my column layout back when I'm done searching if I want to. So this gives you a lot of flexibility to search within text, within a column, information without having to know what it started with. And I can add fields based on the column layout, and I can search all fields by typing in the box that are on that layout. I can also look at my history. So if I've searched for something in the past, I have a history button that will let me see all of the most recent history items that I've searched on, and I can pick that and I can search again if I wanted to, based on the history. So if it's something that you search for quite frequently, you can just hit the history and right away you can get to it. So just an easier way sometimes, or a faster way if you're trying to find something within that you can search on. Otherwise, you can still do your normal searching if you're on a certain column, that's fine. But it just might help out finding some of those other obscure things that you have in your descriptions. Paul?
I used to say that showing an old-time user of tabs how to use the client manager was my favorite thing. But this has become my new favorite thing, to show an old-time user, because it snuck in on a lot of people. And they're like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. They just kind of never paid attention to that part of the screen when they got their version 17 or 16 update or whatever it was. And they didn't even know that was there. Well, I've already told you that this is the August 2016 virtual user group meeting. So we all know that August is a special month. It is the month that I married my wife, 25 years this month, thank you, this year. But it's also the month that people should start to think about their holiday cards or whatever holiday-based marketing they have. Now, I say should because it's not really when they do start to think about it. They usually start to think about it in October, or dare I say sometimes in November. So I wanted to talk about my favorite thing to talk about, especially relating to PracticeMaster, which is marketing. And so what we're looking at here is a screen from the client file, the contact file in PracticeMaster. And in this particular instance, we've added a mailing list info tab. And that tab has been customized to hold all sorts of marketing related information. Now, the beauty of PracticeMaster, for a lot of reasons, is that it's extremely customizable. You can add fields and delete fields and change fields, move screens around. You can add certain files. You can add certain tabs like we've done here with mailing list info. And so you can take files like the contact file and add functionality to that file that allows you to do all of your marketing from PracticeMaster. Now, that's cool, and that's what allows us to do what we're able to do marketing-wise. But what's also important to remember is that if you've got PracticeMaster and Outlook and phones and tabs and maybe some other things, that contact file in PracticeMaster could, but really should be the central point of entry for and maintenance for all your contacts for the firm, because it feeds Outlook and it feeds phones and it feeds tabs. So the people that might not yet be but are going to hopefully someday be clients, when they do in tabs, they're already there to become clients. And for people that you contact on a regular basis, they should be in there because that can feed your phone. And it can do so in such a way that Bob has these 157 contacts on his phone and Sally has these 273 contacts on her phone, even though the firm has 12,672 contacts. Nobody wants that many contacts on their phone. But Bob's got those that he's interested in, and Sally has those that she's interested in. Some of them become clients in tabs. Some of them are used for this. Some of them are used for that. And some of them we market to. So if you find that what I'm about to describe is familiar, then this might be something you should start thinking about perhaps doing now before it becomes too late to do for this holidays marketing or cards or whatever it is that you do marketing-wise around the holidays, because now's the time to think about it. So is this you? Do you have, let's say, 10 attorneys in the firm, and each of those attorneys has a list of people that they like to send holiday cards to, and then the firm has a general list, and so every year you get those 11 Excel spreadsheets and try to merge them together and then try to figure out whose address has changed and try to figure out why the address for Bob Smith is one thing on Jonathan's list and an entirely different address on Sally's list, because that's what most people do. But if instead you can take PracticeMaster and customize it so that the information that's being stored there is always current and is there then being used to generate that single spreadsheet of who gets the holiday card. That is a much better solution. I'm going to interrupt what I'm talking about for a second because Leanna has informed me that we have a question.
Well, there is a question because one of our listeners lost audio, and I want to make sure that everybody can still hear. So if you can still hear us, please raise your hand. Okay, looks like we're all set, so I'm going to lower those hands, and Paul, go ahead and continue. Thanks.
Okay. Can I lower my hand too? I've got it raised in here. And so what we do is we simply add some fields to indicate on a person-by-person basis who gets what thing and where that thing goes address-wise and how it's addressed. These are what we call tangibles. In this example, they're called lists. So maybe you have announcements that go out every once in a while when you get a new lawyer or somebody's named super lawyer or whatever the case may be. Or maybe you have somebody who's been named partner. Here's a party list. Here's a Thanksgiving card list. Here's a newsletter list. More on that in a minute because it ties in with this. So these are tangible things. These are things that happen and that people can be invited to, or people can get a holiday card, or people can be sent an announcement, or they might get a newsletter, or maybe we celebrate their birthday by sending them an e-card, or maybe even a physical card, whatever the case may be. That doesn't matter. So we can go in for somebody. I happen to be looking at Paul Purdue's record in this example. And so we're saying that Paul gets the announcements, and he gets the party invitations, and he gets the Thanksgiving cards, and he gets the newsletters. Paul must be a great guy because he gets all this stuff, and we try to market him with all of these marketing hits, all of these marketing touches. But Paul has different needs to be marketed to on different things. For instance, when we invite Paul to the holiday party, we send that invitation to his home address, and the first line on the invitation says Barb and Paul Purdue. I guess Barb gets to go first. Whereas when we send the Thanksgiving card, we send it to the other address because there's a place that Paul likes to be around Thanksgiving, and we simply put Paul and Barb. And when we send an announcement, we send that to the business address, and we're kind of sending it to everybody, so we say Paul Purdue and staff. Okay? So it's important on a touch-by-touch basis, a tangible-by-tangible basis, for each thing that you're doing marketing-wise, that you identify which address that thing should go to and how it should be addressed, because there are different ways to address these things based on what those things are. So you have these things called tangibles where we identify where these go and who they go to. We also have these things that we call, at least in this example, AOIs, or areas of interest. So in this example, we have a type of practice where our clients or our prospective clients might be interested in, let's say, administrative law, agricultural, ADR, appellate practice, employment law, all sorts of different things. And so by saying that Paul Purdue is interested in construction law, that means we can, at the drop of a hat, pull a list of email addresses for the 76 people that are in our system that have an interest in construction law because something big just happened in construction law, and we want to be on the forefront of informing our clients about this big change. So the areas of interest are less tangible. These are tangibles, at least what I like to call them, but they're a way for us to say, hey, Paul's interested in construction law, and he also happens to be interested in asbestos defense. Those are two things that are of interest to him, but he really could care less about class action defense or any of the other things that are on this list. So if we go to send an email that has to do with food processing liability, Paul will not get it. But if we go to send an email about something new that's happening or going to happen about construction law, Paul will get it. Now, the last element here, at least that I'm going to put here, is that we should identify who cares about marketing to this person. Who in our firm cares about marketing to Paul Purdue? Those people need to be identified. Why? Because we need to give them a list every year or every time we do one of these things and says, hey, we're about to send out holiday cards. Do you still want to send them to these 72 people? These are the people that you have expressed an interest in marketing to. And it's good to have ways to identify multiple people depending on how big your firm is, because sometimes Bob in estate planning and George in corporate work, corporate area practice, they both want to market to Paul Purdue because Paul's a businessman now, but he's going to die, and we want to plan his estate and the succession of that business to other people. So that's another important aspect. We've done other things. I don't want you to get under the mindset that this is all we do marketing-wise, that this screen is all that you're going to see. We have a firm in Cleveland that was the first of ours to do what we call event-based marketing, meaning they had tickets to one of the Playhouse Square series, and they had a golf membership, and they had Cavs season tickets, Cleveland Cavaliers season tickets. So they wanted to be able to identify on a person-by-person basis who was interested in going to plays, who was interested in going golfing, and who was, what was that third thing? Who liked to go to basketball games. And so at any point in time, they could pull a list based on the date that the person was last invited to go to a Cavs game, or the date that people that were interested were last invited to go golfing, and see a list in kind of a hierarchical order based on recency, who should be invited now. So you got 2 tickets to the Cavs game next Friday night and you want to get rid of them, bam, pull that up. So we've done a lot of neat things with marketing that falls outside the scope of these tangibles and intangibles. Event-based marketing is just one of them. Another firm, we've probably done the event-based marketing for 4 or 5, 6 more firms since that one in Cleveland. One of them is in South Bend. And so naturally, their events are all based, or at least the sports-related ones, are all based around Notre Dame and when their games are. So a lot of different things you can do here, and who's to say that you don't have something that we haven't even thought of yet, but that we can handle. So start thinking now, because now is the time to get this in place. Now is the time to say, okay, let's do a little tweaking to our PracticeMaster contact file, so that we can do marketing in such a way that it's using current information that's always being updated. Because if you have that mindset that the contact file in PracticeMaster is going to be the central place for all contacts, to feed tabs, to feed Outlook, to feed phones, and to feed marketing, then you're halfway there. The rest is just building out the marketing stuff. And Leanne, I think, is motioning to me that she has another question. She's trying. Okay, she says it's another sound one. Is it the same person, Leanne? Okay, so that's marketing. And so with that, let's talk about what we're going to talk about next month. Next month, we have a special guest. Speaking of Leanne, Leanne's going to join Mary Jo, and Leanne will be talking about snapshots. Snapshots are those neat little summaries of information. When you highlight a contact and you're still in the list and you can see a snapshot of information about that contact, or in the people file, or in the client list. Any place you've got a list, you've got a snapshot. And we can customize those. And Leanne is going to come and talk about that. Mary Jo is going to talk about the report writer from a bird's eye view. She's going to kind of just introduce you to the concept of writing a report in PracticeMaster or altering an already existing report in PracticeMaster. So be sure to join us next month when those are our topics. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't take you to our website to show you how you can get to past recorded versions of these webinars and these virtual user group meetings. If you go to attorneycomputersystems.com with an emphasis on that last S in the word systems, you will find a videos tab that, when hovered over, will present you with the 3 virtual user group meetings, tabs, PracticeMaster, and World Docs, as well as our Coffee Pot webinars. Those 4 things are our live events. Every last Monday of the month, we have our tabs, PracticeMaster, and World Docs virtual user group meetings, and at some predetermined Friday every month, I host something called our Coffee Pot webinars. We also have our eBytes video series and the Paul and Mary Jo show. I'll tell you more about those in a second. But with these live events, if you go to one of them, and we're having some problems with the live events today, so let's try instead going to World Docs. We're going to take a chance here. You should be able to see registration information about the next event, a link. That, of course, for World Docs is the event that's going to take place in 33 minutes. A description of what we're talking about, plus these links to register. And then as you scroll down, you will find recorded versions of past events, past World Docs VUGs, past Tabs 3 VUGs, past Coffee Pot webinars, whatever the case may be. We also have these titles, these eBytes video series and the Paul and Mary Jo show. Those are not live. Those are pre-recorded. Mary Jo records 3 eBytes videos each month, one on Tabs, one on PracticeMaster, one on World Docs. And every month we record one Paul and Mary Jo show where we take a broad topic and spend a great deal of time on them, where the eBytes video titles are usually very short and succinct, 3 or 4 minutes on a very succinct topic. The Paul and Mary Jo show takes a broader topic and will take 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes talking about it. Of course, we have a search capability, so if you're looking specifically for something on, I don't know, marketing, then you can type marketing and hit enter and see what we've got to cover that. So that's it for today. Everybody have a good rest of the day, a good rest of the month, and we will see you next month when we're talking about snapshots and report writer. Thanks much. Everybody have a good day. Bye-bye.